Hello, and welcome to the next chapter of Charatale. The underground, of course, was busier as time went on, and more humans fell into the underground, and trails were blazed in more ways than just being Dr. Gaster's test subjects. Chuck, the tough guy, ended up getting a job in the Royal Guard, and got along great with Undine. Clover, meanwhile, was sent to the east as a marshal, which was a good job for him. He was always a fan of the westerns. This one ballerina girl went on to become a famous dancer in Holland. And through it all, a now late teenage Azrael and I smiled. Before humans have been seen as evil, akin to Jason Voorhees, but now they were much more than that. I waited in the back of the studio. Today was the day I would go on Tonight with Mediton. By now, I had grown more used to press conferences and interviews and the like, so this was small potatoes. As such, I was more excited for this than nervous. I went out almost as soon as my name was called, and I received a standing ovation from the studio audience.
"So, Kara," Mediton began, "how has your life in the underground affected your worldview?"
"Well," I said, "when I lived on the surface, I always thought everyone would be cruel to me. But this has not only given me a loving family, but also a kingdom of people who are supportive of me."
"That's a sentimental story and all," said Mediton. "But what about your old life? What about that made you want to abandon humanity and live with us?"
"Yeah, about that. My parents were like the worst parents ever and straight up abandoned me in the woods."
"Well, that's a cool sub-story and all. And what are your thoughts on your life now?"
"Well," I said, "when I first met my new parents and Azrael, I wasn't sure about it, since what I knew of monsters came from stories told by humans to frighten kids into behaving. But look at it now. I have a palace, a loving family, a popular brother, and a vampire butler."
"Well, that does go without saying, madame,"
said Valve, who appeared out of nowhere.
"I've been the royal family's butler since your parents were married, so I really need no introduction."
After that non sequitur, Mediton said,
"So, Kara, we understand some big changes may be coming to the underground soon. What are your thoughts on that?"
"Well," I explained, "my parents definitely have been climbing up in the years. And Azrael seems like he just can't wait to be king. As for me, I hope that monsterkind can mend its bridges with humanity soon." Azrael and I were visiting the lab. Dr. Gaster and Dr. Alphys have been working on mixing together the liquefied soul extract they extracted into a new concoction, and we wanted to see it for ourselves. When we got there, Gaster looked surprisingly happy to see us.
"Ah, Kara, Prince Azrael. Glad you could come. We've almost perfected our concoction."
"Well, how's the progress?" asked Azrael, and Dr. Alfie said, "Glad you asked. We, seem to be onto something, but most of our attempts have ended in the mixtures exploding. But this time, we think we have something." And they did. Dr. Alphys and Dr. Gaster had finally found a way to mix the soul extract into a chemical concoction without it exploding. Then Shushan was sent to the ruins with Alphys to fetch some froggets. When they got back, Dr. Gaster injected the froggets with the concoction. As predicted, the froggets were imbued with great power. They just didn't know how to use it. Then they tried injecting the concoction into monsters who would know how to use the power. But the attempts to do that, however, ended with the subjects melting. It soon was discovered that because monsters don't have body fluid, this would happen. So they decided that the concoction still needed work.